Am I the a-hole for choosing my disabled son over my husband and destroying my family? I, 39 female, have a son, 14 male, from a previous relationship. He is physically disabled due to a neurological condition and uses a wheelchair. He is mentally fine, gets good grades, and is honestly a very well-mannered kid. I married my husband, 43 male, 6 years ago. We also have 2 younger children together. When we got married, my husband said he understood my son's needs and that he signed up for this. Over the past year, however, after the birth of our second child, his attitude has completely changed. He started making comments like, "Our lives revolve around him. This house feels like a hospital," or "The other kids don't get a normal childhood because of this." Last week, he sat me down and told me we needed to have a realistic conversation about the future. He said that by the end of this work year, he expects one of 2 things to happen. 1. My son goes to live with his biological father, who has been absent his entire life. Or 2. We place him in a long-term care facility so we can finally live normally. I told him that wasn't happening. My son is my child, not a problem to be solved. That's when my husband said something I can't stop thinking about. He said, "You need to accept that he's never going to be independent. You're choosing him over everyone else." He then told me that if I refused to be practical, I was choosing my son over my marriage and over our younger kids' happiness. I told him I will always choose my child, and I asked him to leave. Our arguments went in circles for days. Finally, when I couldn't take it anymore, I told my husband that I want a divorce. Now his entire family is involved. His parents say I'm emotionally manipulating the situation and that I'm asking everyone else to sacrifice so I don't have to. His sister told me I'm infantilizing my son and robbing him of independence. According to them, no marriage survives when one child is allowed to dominate everything. They all say I should have at least considered a facility as a compromise, and that it's what most families do. When I talked to my own parents about it, they said that my lack of adjustment is leading to failed relationships. My parents never liked my elder son much, and they say I'm choosing the hard road by making my son the center of my life. My husband is a perfect man in their eyes, and they say no man would have stayed as long as he did. They are telling me divorce was extreme, and that I should have tried therapy or met him halfway. I feel like I did what any parent should do, but with so many people telling me I overreacted, I'm starting to doubt myself. So, am I the a-hole for choosing my disabled son over my husband? Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. Any partner who asks you to abandon your child is already choosing themselves over your family. And you know damn well that if one of his children had an accident and became bound to a wheelchair, he would never do this to one of them. What a POS, probably the biggest one I've seen here lately. Don't be too sure. As someone who has worked with people with disabilities for over 20 years, the number of parents, fathers most of the time, that either are completely uninvolved in treatment or in their kids' lives is absolutely ridiculous. What strikes me the most is that you do not talk about your 2 other kids. I'm not blaming a mother for taking care of her disabled child. I have 2 in the family, but not at the expense of the others. Are you finding time for at least your other kids? Or is your husband taking care of them because you are too focused on your elder son? Did you have a talk with your son regarding his actual needs? What he needed 10 years ago is not the same as what he needs now, and it won't be the same in 10 years either when he grows up and becomes an adult. That way, you can find time for the rest of the family after talking with him and seeing if there are things he wants to do by himself and things he can do but you are not letting him do out of habit, fear, etc. Yes, I've tried to treat all the kids equally and make sure to spend at least an hour with the 3 of them each day. It was decided before marriage that we would raise my eldest together with our own. But when we had our own child, my husband started growing detached from the eldest. I'm willing to let him be an independent adult like all of my kids when he turns 18, and will help him out only if he needs it. If he decides on a facility at that time, it would be his own choice, and I'd be more than willing to oblige. But he is just a high schooler now. Not the a-hole. It was discussed prior to being married if it was going to be an issue for him, and he reassured you it wasn't. You're being an amazing parent by advocating and being there for them. It's astonishing that the only 2 options were essentially he has to go. Is there truly no other options in that aspect? Thank you so much for your kind reply. I don't think so, but I'm afraid that my son will notice the disdain my husband has for him, and it will affect him. Being a special needs child is hard, and the least he deserves is love and support at home. If home starts being so toxic, I'm afraid steps must be taken however hard they are. Edit/mini update. Thank you for the replies. Some of you have been very kind. The biggest question that came up was about the 2 other kids. I have a 5-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. I make sure to ask my daughter about her day every day, no matter how hard the day is. And I'd like to think that we have a solid bond. My son is too young and we take care of him jointly. I pay for the schooling and treatment of my eldest. My husband doesn't, and I'm fine with that. We split expenses for our daughter. In a divorce, I'm more than willing to take the 2 other kids with me. I've talked to my daughter about it. I earn decently and can support them until they are adults. I didn't realize that my post sounded like I was neglecting the 2 of them. Although most of you have been incredibly kind and offered helpful advice and criticism, some of you are incredulous regarding my own parents. My first divorce was already a huge problem in my family, and many people made it seem like it was my fault for giving birth to him. Somehow, I should have tried to adjust with my ex when he made it very clear that he didn't want to raise my son. A second divorce is catastrophic to them. They are stuck in old ideals where divorce is a huge problem. As they say, problems are normal in relationships, but we should work through them. But how can I work through this if these people can't treat my son like a human being? My parents obviously don't want me to disown my child, but they think it's my fault that I'm looking for a divorce. But no matter what, I am very firm in my decision to give my son the best life I possibly can. And talking about my son in a particular post doesn't mean I'm neglecting my other kids. Next story. Am I the a-hole for only allowing my daughter to take only the 2 suitcases she had packed when the courts removed her from my custody? I am in the middle of a very contentious divorce and custody case, and my children have been caught in the middle. We are currently on our 3rd guardian ad litem, as the first 2 asked to be removed. 3 months before this incident, my daughter had just been returned to my custody. As part of the custody orders, the court and the gal set several stipulations for her: weekly therapy, enrollment in public school, participation in extracurricular activities, spending time with friends, and generally being given the opportunity to live a normal life as a 15-year-old. I complied with all of these requirements immediately. She was enrolled in public school, attended weekly therapy an hour away, joined drama club, got a part-time job at Dairy Queen, had a boyfriend, and attended homecoming. I paid her cell phone bill and covered school and personal expenses. During this time, her father was unsupportive and frequently undermined me. When she complained to him about being asked to do chores, he told her I was an unfit and abusive mother and that she should not be allowed to have a job, friends, or extracurriculars. Before homecoming, I bought her shoes and paid for a haircut. Her father refused to help with a dress, so I purchased one. She asked for fake nails, which I said no to. After homecoming, I received a bank alert asking if I had authorized a DoorDash charge. I had not. When I checked my bank statements, I found unauthorized DoorDash and Sally Beauty purchases. When I asked my daughter about the nails again, she denied everything. I then showed her the bank statements, at which point it was clear she had used my debit card without permission. I did raise my voice. I did not threaten to kick her out, abandon her, or leave her stranded at school. I discussed possible consequences, including whether she should attend a special school field trip. Immediately after, she contacted her father and the guardian ad litem and told them I was trying to force her out of my house and planned to abandon her at school. The gal met with my daughter at school without ever contacting me and told her she would be removed from my custody, that an emergency hearing would be filed, and offered her a ride home from the field trip. Not once did the gal contact me. At court, the gal stated that I was an unfit parent without providing concrete evidence, and custody was transferred to my ex-husband. When my ex-husband arrived with my daughter to retrieve her belongings, I allowed her to take the 2 suitcases she had already packed. She had known 4 days prior that custody might change and had not packed anything else. I did not prevent her from having her belongings permanently. After she left, I packed the remainder of her belongings neatly and informed her that they would be available to retrieve at the next court-approved opportunity. I have not gone back on this. So my question is, am I the a-hole, manipulative, or abusive for not allowing her to immediately gather everything that day given the circumstances? We don't have enough info here to make a judgment, and clearly there is a lot more going on than a couple of suitcases. You're focusing on the wrong thing. What is best for your daughter right now? That is the only question you should be asking. Yeah, find it hard to believe the gal, the third no less, would jump to unfit and removal based on OP's story. I smell piles of missing info. Why had your daughter recently been returned to your custody? She was living with her uncle and aunt, and it was not working out with them, so she came back to live with me. She was originally with me before going to live with her uncle and aunt, but we had just moved into a house after living in a motel for several months, and it was taking me a little longer to get her settled. Her behavior was getting out of control, and her dad did not want her to live with him. After 4 months with her uncle and aunt, she wanted to come for a visit. I said I thought it was a little early, but it was okay as long as her uncle and aunt were fine with it. This turned into a huge fight between my ex and his brother, and I was accused of manipulating everyone. After that, my ex's brother did not want my daughter back. The courts gave my daughter the option to go with me, my ex, or the system. She wanted to stay with me, and since I was more stable, working steadier hours, and able to get my daughter the services she needed, I said okay. Well, no wonder your daughter is the way she is. Her parents can't get their act together and be stable. As someone that grew up with 2 parents that didn't want them, this feels so familiar. She's angry at everyone, and I don't blame her. It took me a long time to be in a good place mentally. It's not going to be an easy road for her, unfortunately. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to keep being the easy child in my family? I'm 19 and the youngest in my family. The closest is 24. My older siblings have always been very vocal about their needs, opinions, and what they will or won't tolerate. Growing up, that meant a lot of arguments and long talks with my parents. I was always the opposite. I got good grades, didn't cause problems, did my best to give my parents an easy time, and learned pretty early that things went smoother if I just didn't ask for much. My parents used to joke that I was so easy compared to my siblings. Now that I'm older, I'm realizing how much that stuck. If plans change, I'm expected to adjust. If someone needs a favor, I'm the one asked first. If there's tension, I'm told to let it go because I'm more mature. Recently, my parents planned a family trip during a week I had already said I couldn't take off from work. I reminded them of this, and they said they assumed I'd figure it out because I always do. I said I couldn't and that I wasn't going. This turned into a long conversation about how disappointed they were and how it was supposed to be quality time together. No one asked why my schedule wasn't considered in the first place. Now I'm being treated like I suddenly changed, when it feels more like I just stopped automatically bending. Am I the a-hole for feeling like I've always been a pushover and suddenly wanting to change? Not the a-hole. Your adaptability got them to take you for granted. This comes with no rewards and bad quality of life. You did good by drawing a line. This is the first time I've mentioned this to anyone besides family, who obviously think I'm in the wrong. So that's refreshing to hear. Thank you. Of course they think it's wrong. Now that you're actually standing up for yourself, they're going to have to change. That's uncomfortable. Oh well, it needs to happen, and you need to do everything you can to not feel guilty about it. Not the a-hole. Not even close. I was the oldest by a long way. Parents split and remarried and had 5 other kids between them. I was the easy one, and all it got me was parentification and all the BS that goes with that. Took a long time for me to come to the realization that setting yourself on fire to keep others warm is not sustainable. It's different now. I don't have much contact with them, and my wife and kids are amazing. So yeah, things get better once you draw the line and stick to it. You've got this. I'm so jaded that for some reason I assumed this happens mostly to the youngest. I don't know why, as that doesn't make any sense. So it's helpful to hear that you were the oldest, and this still happened. I can confirm I will be sticking to this. Last story. Am I the a-hole for saying emergency daycare isn't meant for parents who are home and just need a break? I am in a standoff with a friend, 20 female, and now I'm being treated like I said something unforgivable. My friend has a child in daycare. Today, the daycare sent out a letter saying they are critically understaffed and will only offer emergency care. My friend is currently not working and stays home. She still signed her child up for emergency care and told me about it, then asked if I would do the same. I said no. We had the same exact situation before Christmas. I am also a stay-at-home mom and kept my child with me because I don't think emergency care should be used for convenience when other parents genuinely rely on it to keep their jobs. I also think it's unfair to already overwhelmed educators to treat emergency care like a normal service day. She said she needs the emergency care because she is feeling under the weather, she has a cough, and because she needs the time to do household chores. I told her that while housework is work, I don't consider chores or mild illness an emergency, especially when the daycare explicitly asked parents to keep their kids home if possible. I also said that using emergency care in that situation takes a spot away from families who truly have no alternative. That's when she accused me of not respecting domestic labor and of acting morally superior. I wasn't telling her what she's allowed to do. She asked my opinion, and I gave it. I didn't insult her, but I didn't back down either. Now she's stopped responding and says I was judgmental. I'll admit, I do think parents who can keep their kids home during staff shortages should do so. I think there is a difference between needing childcare to survive and wanting childcare to make life easier. And pretending there isn't feels dishonest to me. So, am I the a-hole for saying emergency daycare shouldn't be used when you're home and capable, even if that opinion upset my friend? Sounds like she pays for daycare and wants to use it. If she doesn't, the federal program that funds low-income families with daycare requires you have a full-time job, so sounds like you're just mad a mom wants a break. It is the daycare's responsibility to staff. You're the a-hole. She is a single stay-at-home mom without a job, and the daycare is being paid by the government. This is just a statement for info. I am not judging the stated fact. Not the a-hole. You're right, though. Also, it's wild calling a stay-at-home mom someone who does not respect domestic labor. And she's saying like working parents don't also have chores to do. Not the a-hole. As a parent, I completely understand wanting to have a break. Your friend still sucks. Both for taking advantage of the system and for asking your opinion and getting mad at you for telling her. Also a parent here, I don't even understand the I need a break thinking. Definitely not the a-hole. It sounds like the child attends daycare regularly, so not attending for one day should not be any type of world-class burden. But you don't know what other issues the mom is dealing with. Well, they weren't mentioned in the OP, so as far as we know, there aren't any. If mom is so unhealthy that she can't care for her child and do housework at the same time, then do the housework tomorrow. Do the critical tasks and leave the rest until the next day.